Hello and welcome everyone, and welcome back to Anthony as well.
Hello everybody, how's it going?
Well, we hope you guys are all well, and today technically we're on lesson number 15. And the lesson is today we're going to talk about how to discover the single force of love acting in every situation. But before we carry on, we have received 2 questions. So let's answer those 2 questions first and then get back on board and do our topic.
All right, so question number 1 comes from Donald, and he says, on one hand, I'm hearing that if I do good in this world, donate blood, help the environment, it doesn't matter because the work that needs to be done happens inside me. And on the other hand, I only need to correct myself. And on the other hand, I'm hearing by doing good to people, such as family and friends, causing good to come back to me, can you help me understand? Am I to do good physically, or do I do good to myself only by studying and correcting myself?
That's a very good question. Well, by no means, we don't stop our relations with the rest of the world as we study the wisdom of Kabbalah. But studying the wisdom of Kabbalah is a bit different to being good and to what we understand as being good from all the other methods like ethics and morals and so forth. Now, the wisdom of Kabbalah says we're all egoistic. So even if we do something good for other people, it's usually because it makes us feel good. And because we feel good about helping others, we feel good about ourselves. Kabbalists say, well, that's also egoistic, because most people who do good to other people is because they feel good about themselves and they feel good, pride, and so on. So on the one hand, there's that aspect. On the other hand, Kabbalists are not telling you to be a bad person or not to do good to other people. They're just saying, just be aware that being good to other people is not necessarily the kind of good that the wisdom of Kabbalah is defining. Because in the wisdom of Kabbalah, doing good means that I do not have any return for my self-benefit or any self-pleasure in that action. So in terms of the society or the community, the country or the environment that you're living in, obviously, be a nice, good, regular person in society. However, we should keep in mind that in Kabbalah, being and doing good means that I actually correct myself so that any good that I do is actually parallel to the kind of good that the Creator is doing. So I have some kind of a synchronized frequency with the Creator, and I understand what good and what bad is, and actually behave according to that level, according to those parameters that are equivalent with the Creator's actions. Okay, so doing good to other people in terms of helping them out with worldly and corporeal things is not a bad thing. It is a good thing. Okay, however, when it comes to correcting your soul, it's a spiritual matter, and that you need to correct inside the connection with your friends that are also studying the wisdom of Kabbalah. Because when we're talking about correcting ourselves in the wisdom of Kabbalah, we're actually talking about increasing the attribute of bestowal, which is that dot in the heart, if you recall from the previous lessons, to a higher level of being, a higher level of existence above our desire to receive pleasure for ourselves. Okay, and that's where we need to get to, and that work is done only in the group with like-minded people, because our intention, our direction, and our goal is the same. Okay, this is why we do not practice spirituality or self-correction with the people on the outside, simply because their direction is not our direction of love thy friend as thyself, or is not our direction as in wanting to come to bestowal. Because if a person is still in their corporeal nature, by default, it's not their fault. That's just how they are, and that's how they exist. But if a person has a dot in the heart plus the desire to receive for oneself in this world, what he can do now, have some free choice in between, like we discussed in previous lessons in the lesson freedom, so that I can actually arrange myself in an environment, select that environment, and actually apply myself in it to make that change towards spirituality. Because if I start to do things under corporeality, I'll only start to change myself corporeally. What we want to focus on is to influence the dot in the heart to cause an inner change rather than my physical actions. All right, so we keep two of them apart. Okay, you can be a nice person on the street as well. It's not a problem. However, the main goal of correction and the main work, let's say, in correction is with a spiritual group who's aimed in that direction, so that our clarifications towards good and bad can be actually spiritual discernments rather than corporeal discernments that is on the outside. However, that is a very good question. So in short, do your spiritual work inside the group. On the outside, yeah, you can be good to your family members and so on. Just understand that they're two different things. Spirituality is one thing, corporeality is something else. And
all right, and our next question comes from Adumata. Please forgive me if I mispronounce your name. And it says, what is Kabbalah in Africa?
Okay, that's great. Well, actually, Kabbalah doesn't look at where you are. It doesn't look at whether you're in Africa or, I don't know, in Alaska or Timbuktu for that matter. Kabbalah is for any individual around the world, no matter where he is. All right. For example, he's from Texas. Okay. There you go. You can tell he's Texan. He's had a lot of burgers and steaks. Okay. He's a big boy. And I'm actually Turkish and Australian as well. So as you can see, like, we're from different places altogether. You know, he's from one side of the planet, I'm from the other side of the planet. And however, though, what we do have in common is this inclination called the dot in the heart. And this dot in the heart is very important because it's that point inside of us that's really questioning the meaning of life. So in terms of Kabbalah, for Africa or for Australia or for, I don't know, America, Europe, it doesn't really matter. Kabbalah is for a person who's seeking the meaning of life. And that could be anyone. It could be anyone from anywhere around the world. And today also we have some friends there from Africa, right? Hello everyone. Okay, we can see there Godfrey. Okay, we've got some friends from Turkey. Emre's there. Hello Emre. Nice to see you on the screen as well. So, and we've got some friends from Azerbaijan as well. Okay, so we have a lot of friends from all over the world, and they're actually making this broadcast, available by taking duties so that they can, put this broadcast live. So as you can see, it could be anyone from anywhere around the world, as long as they have a dot in the heart and they really want to discover the meaning of life. So hopefully we've got some really, really great friends in Africa. So hopefully this course for Africa and Asia will also develop further, and we'll have some more friends that will join the friends in Africa, and actually they'll be joining all of us because at the end of the day we're all one single group. It doesn't matter where you come from, but we'd really love to see more and more friends from Africa. We have some very amazing friends in Africa, and it's a pleasure to study with them, to be with them in the same group organization studying Kabbalah. So hopefully we'll have some more African friends, and we'll spread the joy and the light. Right, that's it.
That's it.
Okay, great. So, lesson number 16. Once again, how to discover the single force of love acting in every life situation. Now, when you say love, it might be a little airy-fairy. You might say, what's love got to do with it? And put the Tina Turner song on. However, love has everything to do with it. And the reason we don't really understand that is because we don't understand what love is. And in our previous lesson, we talked about good and bad. We talked about why we feel bad, we feel good, and how we're in this world kind of managed through these two reigns of feeling good and feeling bad, good and evil, and so on. Now, in this lesson, what's really, really important is trying to discover the force acting behind everything and how it's relating to us. Now, that relationship is called love. Okay, so it's not something airy-fairy, but love is an attribute which allows a person to act through that attribute, and the action then becomes a force. So this is why love is a force that's acting behind reality, because the creator who's behind reality is relating to us with an attribute called love, which determines his action towards us. So love is not just a feeling that I'm going through. It's not just a sensation. It's not a buzz. It's not me being on cloud nine or anything. It's actually an attribute which allows me to behave, to relate, to act in a certain power, in a certain direction, which can influence everything, which we can actually say the same thing about hate. Now, if you look at our world, you'll see a lot of hate, and hate actually is a force, because that hatred allows people to do bad things. It pushes people to do bad things. Also, love, even though it's corporeal, if we think about it, loving somebody else also allows us, it gives us the power, the force to act in a certain way that will be good for the other person. So in this lesson, we really need to start to identify ourselves with the definition of love being a force that is pushing us, not pushing us, but really love is a force that allows us to act and relate in a way that the Creator is also relating to us. Now, you or me or anybody else in the world, actually, if we told them love was how the Creator was relating to us, would be quite shocked at what we said, because when we look at the world, it's quite bad, isn't it? We've got problems all around the world. Even if everything was good, all of a sudden we have natural disasters, don't we? I mean, all of a sudden, some country is doing rather well, and all of a sudden there's an earthquake there. For example, in Japan, right? Everything is nice, everything is flowing, and all of a sudden there's a bang earthquake. Also in New Zealand. Now, New Zealand is one of the calmest countries in the world, all right? So what happens every now and then, there's an earthquake because it's in that zone. So even if humanity was, settled down, calm, and wasn't, going through so many dramas, we'd still be having all these problems on the outside, which is actually contradictory to the definition of Kabbalists, who say, well, the Creator, or call him God, it doesn't matter what, there's just one force behind reality, is good, and he actually does good. All right, so for us, it's very, very important to understand what that love is, and what does it mean to behave good, and in what direction is good, and what is that love that is really making that action of being good possible. All right, so this is the kind of thing that we need to discover. And until we discover those things, we're not really going to understand the Creator, simply because our understanding of love in this world is reception for ourselves. Okay, we love what makes us feel good. All right, so if for example, I love chocolate, right? And if I really, really, really yearn for chocolate, and if I get chocolate, I'm really enjoying that nice chocolate, and I say to myself, chocolate, that's great, I love this chocolate. I'm not actually loving the chocolate itself, I'm loving the taste I get from the chocolate. And there's a big difference, because if you look at our relationships as well, when we tell somebody we love them, what are we actually loving about them? We actually love the pleasure we get from them. We don't actually love them. We love the pleasure we get from them. And if that pleasure goes down or declines or evaporates all of a sudden, or simply just fades away over time, then we feel that we don't love them anymore. Why? Because we're not getting any pleasure. Now, that kind of love belongs to this world. It belongs to self-love, actually, not love of others. And this is something very critical we all need to know, because in this world we talk about love quite often, loving others, we love everybody and so forth. But if you just dig down, scratch the surface just a little bit, you'll begin to understand that love is only self-love in this world. So this self-love is something we need to define first of all what it is, and then we can take a look at what the Kabbalists say about the Creator. Right? So this is what we're going to take a look at, and how we can actually discover the love of the Creator, simply because that discovery needs to enable us to come to that transformation, so we can equalize ourselves in that attribute to the Creator and perceive a higher level of reality from that attribute that the Creator has. Right then, after that little introduction, if you have also any questions during the lesson, please feel free to jot them down. Also, you can send us an email, or if you want to ask us a question and you want to write a message on YouTube, you can also do that. The guys also check the YouTube channels. If there are any questions, they'll be more than happy to send them through to us. So first of all, we have to understand how to relate to reality. Okay, let's start working on that. All right then, that's our page. Here we go. Now, as you know, this is us in reality. Okay, so in the previous lessons, we said that, you know, life is really acting on us through the environment with all kinds of forces. Well, such as what? Such as family, okay, health, work, friends, media, you know, politics. It doesn't matter what. Environment, ecology, it doesn't matter. Everything, okay, that's influencing us is coming from the environment. Okay, so ecology, economy, you name it, everything. And we said also that behind everything is just one force, right? So although I see many things and many people doing a lot of things and I'm influenced by them, behind everything in reality there's just one force called the Creator. So the Kabbalists say there's the Creator and that's it. And there's a nice little article about it called "There's None Else Beside Him." There's none else besides Him. Okay, so nobody else in reality is acting at all, well, except the Creator. And what we have to do, our job as a Kabbalah student, is to discover exactly that force, how it is impacting on us, so that we're actually being influenced by world's events and our inner and outer effects, okay, even our emotions, right? Think about it, all our emotions, our thoughts, okay, all these things that are inside of us, ideas, desires, everything inside of us is actually influenced all by the environment and by the Creator behind that environment. So overall, we have the environment, all right, and we have the Creator acting behind the environment, which is influencing me in all kinds of ways. And sometimes I have a good day, and sometimes I have a bad day, okay? Depends on the kind of day I'm having. And this is the general structure. Now, Kabbalists say behind all of these events that are happening to us in this world, in our life, we have to discover this force called the Creator. And the first principle we direct ourselves towards is this formula called "There's None Else Besides Him," which means that whatever happens to me comes to me directly from the Creator as part of this setup of the environment. So everything that's influencing you, me, Anthony, all the friends on the screen, and the 8 billion people in the world, plus the planets, the sun, the moon, everything in the galaxy, the whole reality itself is only influenced by one force called the Creator. And that's what it means, there's none else besides Him. So let's read a little bit from this article called "Divinity in Exile," so we can start to have something to talk about based on some sources. It is written, "There is none else besides Him." This means that there is no other force in the world that has the ability to do anything against Him. And what man sees, that there are things in the world that deny the household, the reason is that this is His will. So even though the Creator does everything, we don't see it that way. We think, I don't know, Trump is doing something, Putin's doing something. Who's that short guy in Korea?
Kim Jong-un.
Kim Jong-un with the funny haircut. We think he's doing something, okay? But in other words, nobody's doing anything really. The Creator is running the show. And the Kabbalists say this is how we need to start looking at things. Because at the end of the day, think about it. If we all have to come to a purpose, which is the purpose of life, and anybody who's smart won't do anything without a purpose, Creator must surely have a purpose. Now, do you think that the Creator is going to leave anything in the hands of some guy in North Korea? No. Is he going to leave anything to Trump? No. What do they have in common except the bad haircut? They've got no control on anything, okay? Because the whole world runs on forces that is designed by nature already. So all our emotions that are coming up, all the feelings, the thoughts, everything that's coming up inside of us is through, how do you call it? Cause and consequence. And what we do is just react to it. Okay, so something happens and we take action towards it. So nobody really has much choice except to flow with whatever is happening and react to situations through our nature, which is to move towards the good and run away from evil. Simple. And that's how we're running. That's the program, that's the software we have. So it's obvious that the Creator is not going to leave anybody's destiny in any other person's hand, because that would just be crazy. Okay? So all the good and all the bad things, no matter what happens in the world, is all specifically, even the worst things you can imagine, right? From, I don't know, from the atomic bomb being dropped in Hiroshima, in Japan, 2 of those bombs were dropped there, from the Holocaust in the Second World War, from all the wars and all the people that died in all of the worlds, in all the history of humanity, all of them were actually a part of our development, which was in the path of development. And there was nothing we could actually do about it, because there is nothing to do about it. Humanity is simply developing by the force of egoism in an automated software which is running inside of us, and there's nothing we can really do about it until the dot in the heart awakens and starts asking that question, wait a minute, hold your horses. What is the meaning of my life? What am I doing here? Right? Now that question is obviously going to now bring a person in its development, in his or her development, into a split. So there is my corporeal life, and there is my life that is seeking an answer to the meaning of my life. So I've got 2 things now, instead of just running on pain and pleasure. I'm also now running on a quest to find the truth.
Is it somewhat like all these events, all these things that are happening are pushing us to the point where we ask that question?
Come again?
I said, is it somewhat like all these events, all these things that are happening is pushing us to a point where we're getting ourselves ready to ask that question?
Absolutely.
What is the purpose of my life? Why am I here? Why is all these things happening?
Absolutely, because as we suffer, because suffering is increasing, we begin to ask ourselves questions like, why am I not happy? Why are we suffering? Why is humanity suffering? What's the purpose of being born here? I don't know when I'm going to die. It could be tomorrow, could be in the next second. We don't know. And anything could happen at any moment. We have no control. I mean, like, what are we living for? So a person needs to start to discover that question, and the question, needs to start to ask that question, but that question will only pop up in a person until he reaches or she reaches a level of suffering where he or she can no longer live without answering this question. Well, why are we going through all these dramas? So rightfully so. So actually suffering is a tool. It's actually bringing us closer to the goal, because it's beginning to push us to ask, why are we living? What's the meaning of everything? Okay. And so what's the problem here, though? In this sentence, he says something very nice. Even though the Creator is doing everything, and he does everything, what we need to also see here, the Kabbalists are saying, in our eyes, it doesn't appear like the Creator is doing anything. It appears like, I don't know, politicians are doing something. It appears like my mum's doing something, or it appears like my boss is giving me a hard time, or my wife is giving me a hard time, or it could be anything. The kids are running around giving me a headache, or whatever. It could be anything, all right? we feel that somebody else is doing something. We don't feel like the Creator is governing reality. Right? And the reason Kabbalists explain that that is so is because the Creator designed it that way. Simply because if we saw the Creator, well, we wouldn't have anything to talk about, would we? We just know that He's doing the action. We would not have any freedom of choice because we'd be seeing the Creator, and then we'd just say, okay, you tell us what to do and we'll just do it. And that would make us remain in the same degree as an animal. But the purpose of life is not to be an animal. The purpose of life is to be like the Creator. So in order to be like the Creator, we need a starting point, which is the dot in the heart, and the environment, the right environment to grow in, so that we can actually build this attribute, this force called love, correctly. So instead of the self-love I have in this world, like I explained a few minutes ago, we can build on top of our desire to receive pleasure for ourselves a relationship that can really be called love when it's only towards others with no self-benefit at all. And that is where we're trying to get to. What is the reason is that this is His will. Okay, so why does the Creator make reality as such? Well, this is exactly what we touched on right now. It is to give us free choice. This is why we feel people are doing something and we don't see the Creator. But when the dot in the heart awakens and you want to go in the direction of developing your soul, you can only have free choice if the Creator is completely concealed. So you're between two attributes, the dot in the heart, that's yearning towards bestowal, wants to reach the purpose of life, and your desire to receive that wants to pull you back into the desires of this world and wants to pull you back into the swamp. Okay? And this is why the Creator gave us this room, this creation, this area, this reality, so that we can actually work on ourselves to develop and to go above all these things that are happening to us. Okay? And through all these events in life, what we can now do is actually bring everything together. Okay? And then we can just join it to one force. Whatever happens to me, I just join it to the Creator, and I start working with the Creator, and I only begin to accept His providence upon me. And that way I can start to now build a relationship. I can start to look at reality, okay, from a different perspective. I can say to myself, well, I'm now going to look at everything that happens to me from outside of this picture, and I'm going to look at my body. This is my bodily life, okay? So my bodily life is here, and everything this guy is going through, okay, everything, all the emotions, the thoughts, the ideas, the desires, all the problems, everything that this guy is going through, I'm going to start looking at this guy from a different angle. I'm going to say to myself, well, look, everything in my life and all the influences I get in my life are from the Creator. And this Creator's only purpose is to bring us to perfection, to His height. So the only way I can actually start to relate to reality in that way is when I remove my dot in the heart, start looking at reality from my dot in the heart rather than my corporeal existence. So I want to be out of this pleasure and pain riddle, okay? So because this existence is only, what is it? Pain and pleasure, right? So what I want to do is I want to look at myself from another perspective. I want to say to myself, well, in order to get to the purpose of life, how can I find the truth? And what is a lie? Okay? Because in our world, what is truth is sweet. What is bitter is a lie. Okay? But in reality, the truth is always bitter. Okay? But if I can get myself kind of like it's like evaluating yourself, right? Think of yourself as doing a psychoanalysis on yourself. So what you're doing is, let's say you filmed yourself all day. Okay, let's say there was a hidden camera everywhere you went to, and they were constantly filming you, your relationship with people, you at work, at the bus station, I don't know, at the metro, wherever. They were constantly filming you, and then you had the ability to watch yourself afterwards, and to really look at yourself and evaluate yourself and say to yourself, oh my God, is that really me? Or, oh, what happened there? And did I do this? Did I do that? Could I really have said this to that person? You begin to see yourself from a different perspective. And this is very important, because what we want to do is, in the wisdom of Kabbalah, what we now want to do is start looking at ourselves above the sensation of good and bad and try to observe what's happening to us and relate it to the purpose of creation, so that I can begin to slowly decipher why the Creator is acting on me specifically in that way. Even though I feel bad, I don't take it into consideration. I feel good or bad, doesn't matter. I'm now looking at the intention, at what I can get out of this action, so I can move closer to the purpose of life. Okay? So already now, although we're at the 15th lesson, doing these topics, this is quite a heavy topic actually, right? Because looking at ourselves from a different perspective is usually something we would learn down the line.
It can be kind of scary.
That's right. However, I think it's good to touch on, simply because it allows us to kind of get our heads around this "there's none else besides him" topic. Okay, so the Creator does everything. Okay, he's acting on me. He's the only force that's doing everything, and it is like me on the side looking at the outcome, the results. Okay, the outcome or the consequence, right? He's the cause, and everything that's happening to me and how I relate to it is a consequence. And now, by observing this relationship between me and the Creator, if I relate everything that's happening to me as it's coming from the Creator, I can now start to try to get an idea of what He's doing to me, why He's doing to me, and what I need to do in order to get to the purpose of life. Because all of the actions, okay, all the actions of the Creator, are only to bring us closer to the purpose of life. To bring us closer to the purpose of life. Okay? That's what the Creator is doing. All of His actions are only designed on that. So now I can start to keep this in my mind and look at what's going on here and try to decipher everything. This actually brings me closer to the Creator, because I'm now trying to build a relationship with Him. Now, just like in this world, if you were beginning to build a relationship with someone, what do? You try to somehow get in touch with them, don't you? All right. So, for example, let's say you're in high school and you fancy someone. What you do is you try to get their attention. You try to be introduced with them. You try to start up a dialogue or something, right? Well, this is actually what the created being is now doing, by trying to actually look at reality as the Creator's actions on Him, so that He can now build a relationship with Him. Now, this approach is the beginning where we can start to build that bridge with the Creator. All right? And this is why it's very important to look at reality in this perspective, that there's none else besides Him. And if I relate everything to Him, it's like I'm trying to build a relationship. I'm trying to build a bridge towards Him. I'm trying to build a relationship towards Him inside of me, even though I don't see it that way at the moment. This also happens in our life in reality. Just like in this example I just mentioned. Suppose that there is someone you like and you'd like to meet and get to know, right? You haven't met them yet. You don't know them. You just, feel like you like them at the moment. They might turn out to be absolutely awful, right? I'm sure Anthony's had experiences like that.
Just a few.
Where somebody looks rather nice, but at the end of the day, they turned out to be awful. But he doesn't know that at the moment, okay? But before we get there, what we do is we try to build this connection with them at some level. And this is what we also need to do here. So by pointing out that there's none else besides him and I'm relating everything to the Creator, I'm actually trying to build this relationship with the Creator. I'm focusing on the Creator. Even though I don't know him, I haven't, I have no relationship with him or nothing, I'm beginning to build that relationship. Same with this person that we at the moment fancy or like, but we don't know anything about. It's absolutely the same thing. So there's an example for it from this world as well. So by trying to focus on how we can get close to that person, this is how we can get focused on getting closer to the Creator. So one is corporeality, this world. So you do whatever you need to be introduced to that person corporeally. But in spirituality, the way to build that bridge is to start looking at reality from a different perspective. And that perspective is very important, because then you're now narrowing the whole of reality into one thin line, which is going straight to the Creator. All right? Now your focus point on how to relate everything to the Creator is going to require something like a telescope, just like when we want to focus on, I don't know, the moon or any planet or any star or galaxy system. In order to sharpen your focus towards that particular goal, which is the purpose of life, you're going to need to build that telescope or microscope or binoculars or whatever, so that you can actually focus properly. All right, and that is the environment which we talked about in the previous lessons. So the environment that I build should actually focus, okay, what's happening to me, so I can relate it properly towards the Creator. Any questions there?
So far so good. No questions yet.
All
you got
right.
any questions, guys? Send them on in.
Okay, great. Anything on YouTube as well? I'm glad we've got YouTube running up as well, so people can ask a question on there as well. Great. Lovely. Okay. Okay, so the difference between how people relate to, there are also religions who relate to everything comes from the Creator. There's only God does everything and so on. And also Kabbalists are telling us there's none else besides him. So there's a question as to, well, what's the difference, right? So what's the difference between religions who say God is doing everything and Kabbalists who say, well, the Creator is doing everything? Well, there's a big difference, simply because a person who's engaged in religion is not really trying to build that relationship to the Creator in terms of bestowing to the Creator. Because what a person with a dot in the heart in the study of wisdom of Kabbalah is trying to do is actually equalize himself to the attribute of love which the Creator has. A religious person in a religion doesn't really care about equalizing himself to the Creator. He or she really cares about one thing: how to get fulfilled, or how to go to heaven. You can see people actually blow themselves up because in their religion they believe they're going to go to heaven. Okay, so people actually kill themselves for this. So this is what is that? Well, that's like egoism, isn't it? I'm going to kill myself, blow up other people as well, because I think now I'm going to go to heaven. It's like a person committing suicide and taking a bunch of other people with them on some crazy idea. Okay, so the difference between the religious people who believe and do actions with that idea and what the Kabbalist does is completely different, because a Kabbalist wants to come to bestow to the Creator, just like the Creator is bestowing and relating with love towards that person. This is why we need to discover love, so that we can build that connection with the Creator like two friends. And in religions, they don't have that. In religions, what they really want is to have the next world, and obviously they use all kinds of things in religion to make money in this world as well, to have money, power. And as we can see in the 21st century, really, religion has been used and abused so much to lure people into, getting rich, making money out of religion and having power and all these kind of things. That is actually so in front of our eyes that there's nothing really to talk about in this topic and nothing to really relate to with the wisdom of Kabbalah at all. So this is very important for us to also discern. As you know, the wisdom of Kabbalah is a science. So in this wisdom, in the science, what we're trying to do is to look at all the forces of nature, and we're trying to focus the events that are happening on us, and we're working on ourselves. When I say working on ourselves, we're actually investigating ourselves. We're investigating the changes that are occurring in us and how we can relate that, direct that towards the purpose of life, so we can actually move forward and get to the purpose of life, which is to reach the level of the Creator, which is to be like the Creator. And in no religion there is anything about being like the Creator. There's always something about getting something from the Creator, but nothing about giving to the Creator. And Kabbalah is why so different, because all we want to do as a group of Kabbalists is we want to bestow to the Creator. All right? In other words, it's like a child who wants to grow up and become like his father. All right? Whereas other people want to remain and get everything from their father, even at the age of 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Still like kids who are little. All right, so they're like 60 years old and still want candy like they wanted it from their parents. But a Kabbalist wants to reciprocate the love of the Creator back to the Creator, wants to actually grow up, wants to participate in reality like the Creator, wants to be a partner in reality with the Creator. And just like what we want for our children is for them to grow, to be wise and strong and be able to walk on their own 2 feet, the Creator also wants us to walk on our own 2 legs in His reality. So the wisdom of Kabbalah is a science that allows us to grow up and to attain this higher level of consciousness in the reality of the Creator. And that is why this wisdom is so, so special. All right? And this is why we have to relate to everything that happens to us as coming from the Creator. And we have to filter it out through the study inside the environment. Okay? So the environment and the lessons about the environment we're going to touch on in the 2nd semester. However, though, let's touch it on here so that you can understand how the focus needs to be, right? So there's a person with a dot in the heart, okay? First of all, there's the Creator. And there is, who's with us? Is there anyone with us today?
Let's see.
Okay,
Here.
Godfred is with us. Let's put Godfred here. I know Emre is with us today. Emre's here. Okay, so we've got Godfred. We've got Emre, we got Kerem, he's here with us. Okay, we got you, Anthony. We got me, that's me. All right, and then we've got Kurt. Kurt is also with us. Okay, so what happens is this is an environment, so a group of students, a group of Kabbalah students. Okay, Kabbalah students, and what we have is that we have the Rav, we have the sources. And as you can see, we have the friends. Now the interesting thing here is that this environment only focuses on the dot in the heart. This is the only thing we're focusing on. So our corporeal animate life, we are leaving here. All right, so if you ever saw a Western film, what do they do before they go into the saloon? They tie the horse or the mule outside, don't they? That's what they do. So before we go into the environment with a spiritual group, we leave this donkey and we tie him up. Okay, I know it doesn't look like a donkey much, but just take my word for it. Okay?
I'll trust you.
Okay, so we leave him outside. Right? Because that's the animate life. What we want to take into the group is our aspiration. And what we want to do is we want to connect together in this desire to bestow to the Creator. All right. So we want to create a common desire towards the Creator inside the group. And this is very important, because when you're on your own and you try to get spiritual, you can't really make it. Okay, you can't. It's like you can't live in the 21st century on your own, really. I mean, if you do live on your own, you're going to really suffer. Okay, you have to build your own house, you have to grow your own food, you got to make your own clothes. It's like when everything is ready there in the supermarket and in the shopping mall, you go out and do everything yourself. And that's just like suffering. Okay, really. So what you can do is get help from other people. Now, the dot in the heart is just a little spark. It's a dot. If anybody just came and went, it'll be gone. All right. So what we want to do is to grow that by using the environment. So by studying, by being together with the friends, we want to build a common connection called love of others. Now, love of others, as I said in the beginning of the lesson, is nothing airy-fairy. It's nothing to be taken lightly. Why? Because we're talking about developing inside of ourselves a new trait, and that trait allows you to see reality from the perspective of the Creator, because it allows you to get out of your skin. It allows you to get out of yourself. Because we're in this mode right now, which is called self-love, I can only observe what is inside me. And what is inside me is the most narrowest, shallowest life you can possibly have. However, the attribute of love, when it's attained in the same frequency or degree as the Creator, you begin to feel the whole of reality. Not just what you feel in you, but what you feel in everything. And that is actually what the Creator is feeling, the whole of reality. And that's what it means to get out of yourself and to exist like the Creator in His reality. So this common work that we do with the others is very important for us to start relating to the Creator also in a very special way, where I don't get any feedback for myself.
So okay. We've got a question here. Sitsofe says, please, I'm a bit confused. Since the reason for the Creator to be the source of bestowal is that He is complete and needs nothing from anyone, what can we bestow unto Him?
Well, for one thing, we can bestow a proper way of relating to Him. The Creator wants to give, which is great. Let's do that. Let's draw that. Who's Sophie? Hope we pronounced your name right. So the Creator wants to bestow to us. Okay? So the Creator is love, and the action of love is bestowal. Okay, this is what we do. When we love somebody in this world, we also give them, we help them, we love them, so we want to do something for them, right? So the Creator is love, and He wants to bestow to us, and His action is bestowal on us, which is great. We are only a desire to receive pleasure. Okay? We're a desire to receive pleasure. This is reality. Now this is constant. This is never going to change. This is also constant. This is also never going to change. We're going to add something to reality. And that addition to reality is what we call the intention to bestow, which actually starts with the dot in the heart. And that's called also in the wisdom of Kabbalah the intention to bestow. And this is actually the us, the man, the human intention to bestow. Which means that I'm happy to take from the Creator, not to fulfill myself, But he wants to give me, and because he will get pleasure from giving to me, and for that reason I'm willing to take. Other than that, I would not want to take. So let's say the Creator wants to give me $10 billion, right? I'm sure we'd all love to open our pockets and say, yeah. Okay. However, in spirituality, you don't want to take that unless you can bestow to the Creator to that extent. And the slightest uncertainty regarding that will stop you immediately. You don't want to take anything from the Creator for yourself unless you're 100% certain that it is going to give Him pleasure, and as far as you're concerned, you don't care if you get pleasure or not. That is called the intention to bestow, where I don't relate the situation to my fulfillment, but I relate the situation to my love towards the Creator. Just like His love towards me, I want to relate and equalize myself with the same degree of love towards Him. And until that love is equal, I don't want to do anything to stain that, okay, to damage that relationship. So what was the question again? Since the reason for the Creator to be the source of bestowal is that He is complete and needs nothing, that's right. And from anyone that needs nothing from anyone, what can we bestow? Well, this is what we do. We bestow to Him the relationship, how we relate to His actions to us. Okay? Just like when we're growing up, imagine how we relate to our parents. As we grow up, as we're kids, right, we look at our parents as what? A source of pleasure. Don't we? We get chocolates from them, we get sweets from them, they take us out, they play with us. You know, we don't feel like we're abusing our parents, but as kids are growing up, they're actually really abusing their parents. They say, I want this, I want that, can you give me this, can you give me, and if you don't, they just cry their hearts out. And everybody thinks you're a bad mommy and daddy, okay, because they're crying in front of everybody. They really make you look bad, okay. It's really abusive, actually. However, as they grow up, as we all grow up, what happens is we begin to relate to our parents in a way that, you know, we want to give back something because we understand, especially after we become parents, we understand how great they actually were. Right? So what we do now is to arrange our relationship in such a way that we want to take care of them. We visit them when they're older. We invite them to us. They stay with us. We want to give more to them rather than suck their blood. Well, obviously it's a matter of personality, but in terms of generality I'm talking, right? So our relationship, the way we relate to them, has changed, but we haven't. We're still the same desire to receive. We still have desires in our lives, but the way we relate to them has now changed. And same here. The way we relate to the Creator will change. And that change is called the intention to bestow, rather than the state that we're in currently, which is the desire to receive for myself, the intention to receive from me. Great. It's nice to see some questions there. Any other questions there, Anthony?
I think that was the last one.
All right, great. Now, this lesson is pretty much based on this concept that there's none else besides Him and the Creator is governing everything. And now I have to start looking at the situation in that direction, that everything that comes to me is from the Creator. And I want to now focus all these worldly events in a way that I can use towards my spiritual development within the environment which is seeking spiritual development. This is why we can't do it on the outside world, because they're not seeking it. All right? So, hopefully this lesson added something to you extra. And if you do have any questions, feel free to definitely drop us a line on YouTube, or you can send us an email as usual, and we'll be more than happy to answer those questions. Now, the next lesson is going to be lesson number 16, and it's called The Secret Formula for Attaining the Deepest Form of Independence. All right, so now think about it. This lesson we touched on how everything was run by the Creator. The Creator is running the show. All our desires, thoughts, what we do, or even my hand movements, the way I'm talking, everything about me is actually the Creator working within me, like the Muppet Show. All right, so I used to watch the Muppet Show, and it was a great show, and all these Muppets were moving around like real people, but behind them was a hand making them move. And this is actually our life here as well. So in the next lesson, we'll be looking at the formula of how we can get out of this being this puppet to becoming a real person, like Pinocchio. All right, so he was a wooden puppet, and now from that he can be a real person. He can come to that change. So we're going to look at that formula, how we can manage to do that in the next lesson. I hope these lessons are helping you out. To be honest with you, I'll be really honest with you, they're really helping me out as well. As we go with these topics, I feel like I'm also, taking a shower and cleaning myself up and kind of giving myself a bit of a reformat. What do you think?
Definitely. I think it's reciprocal. I feel the same way. So we hope that it's working for you all as well, and just keep studying. It's good to kind of discover a little bit more about yourself.
Absolutely, and we'll be discovering a lot about ourselves. And you'll be happy to know that we are not so shallow creatures after all. All right, have a great day or an evening wherever you are. All the best.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.